He definitely is not a number one option, and if the Raptors want to go anywhere and use their cap space wisely, it might be the right move to trade Pascal Siakam and move on. Hey guys, welcome back to Clutch Takes. Today we're going to be doing 7 bold predictions for the NBA season. It's about 2 weeks into the season, so we thought we'd do it now before it's too late. Coming in for my first prediction is Christian Wood wins Most Improved. Last year he had an amazing stretch for the Pistons, and a lot of people thought it was just because Blake Griffin, D Rose had injuries, but he really stepped up to the plate. And he signed a deal with the Rockets, was pretty cheap at the time. People thought he could be like a nice role player for them and possibly break out. So far this season, in 4 games, he's averaged 23.8 points, 2 assists, and 10.8 rebounds. He's been absolutely insane. People compare his game to AD, saying he's like an AD light. I honestly have to agree. As you can see, like the highlights are very similar, and I feel like he can be like an underrated option for them. This is why I think Christian Wood will win over candidates like Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball, or Jeremy Grant.
And second bold prediction is going to be Kevin Durant wins the MVP. And I know most of you will think that's not bold, but everyone thought that Kevin Durant with Achilles injury would not be as good as he was before. But Kevin Durant's stats show that he's going to be just as Kevin Durant plays last year, the years before. 28 points per game, 4 assists per game, 6 rebounds per game, shooting 50, 40, 90. And his team is winning a lot. Everyone's thinking the Nets are going to have the best record in the East. And I believe that too, because the Nets are playing out of their mind with Kyrie at his side. So Kevin Durant, he's last time he's won MVP was 2014, which was a great accomplishment for him. But ever since then, he hasn't won one because he's been on the Golden State Warriors. It's always been he's not going to win the MVP because he has Steph and Clay by his side. So he's not that valuable to the team. But clearly now, the Nets last year, when they had Kyrie, they weren't winning because they didn't have defense. Kyrie is scoring, but they weren't winning. But now Kevin Durant's added, they're winning a lot and they look really dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like if you have a top 3 seed and you're the leading scorer of the team, you'll be a good candidate, and I feel like Kevin Durant will be sustainable. The third bold prediction that we have is probably one of the most bold ones. It's been a weaker draft class, but I'm picking Tyrese Haliburton to win Rookie of the Year. Coming in at the 12th overall pick, he fell to the Kings even though they already have De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. It was a steal of a pick. Halliburton has been their glue guy for them. He seems like he brings that swagger that they miss. He's a great playmaker to go along with Fox, and I feel like the coach has already trusted him, and although his jumper is it doesn't look amazing, it still goes in. That's all that matters if it goes in at the end of the day.
Let it ride!
So I feel like Halliburton compared to LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards and Wiseman, he seems already really mature, and I feel like he could sneak in and steal this award.
So the fourth bold prediction we have is that the Golden State Warriors missed the playoffs, which is a shocker to most because people had high expectations with Wiseman coming into the team. Obviously, Klay Thompson, it's going to hurt the team for the whole year, obviously. And also Draymond Green being missing for a couple of weeks, I think, is going to hurt them. And their defensive stats is really bad. We expected that with their 2 best defenders gone in injury, but also their struggles come from scoring as well. Not because of Steph Curry, partially, but mostly because the additions of Wiggins and Oubre, which thought they would get more scoring from, is not producing. They should be. Wiggins is a bust, as everyone knows, but he can still score around 20 points per game. He's not scoring at that rate, and Oubre, who had a really good year with the Suns, is not replicating what he had last year.
Yeah, and I also think Oubre, he had barely any threes. He has 1 3 to begin the season. The rest are dunk attempts. And Andrew Wiggins, he takes up way too many shots, and teams their offense is just double Steph and let the others shoot, because the Golden State Warriors, Splash Bros, the 3-point shooting days is over. The team needs shooting desperately, and Draymond hasn't been the same player in a few years, so they might either have to make a trade to go for it now while Curry is still on the team, or possibly blow it up.
I feel like Steph Curry has also had a rough start. He's had some flashes of his old self, but he's shooting from 3 is not what we're used to. He's shooting around almost 300, and that's not what Steph Curry is about. obviously, because he's one of probably the best 3-point shooter of all time. I know Dan just said that they double Steph Curry, but he's supposed to be a superstar and he's supposed to overcome that, right? So Steph Curry is not playing to what he's supposed to. I honestly thought Steph Curry's gonna come back and average 30, 50, 40, 90, and just take over and maybe be an MVP candidate, but he's not playing like that, and his team around him is not supporting him whatsoever.
Okay, the next bold prediction we have coming at number 5 is that the Suns make the conference finals. This is not just because they're 5-1, trust me, I'm not being a bandwagon, but I feel like the Suns were the most improved team. We've seen what he can do with the Oklahoma City Thunder as they took the Rockets to 7 games when no one expected them to even make the playoffs. We saw how good they were in the bubble and they went 8-0, and I feel like Chris Paul is the perfect addition to their team. I feel like they'll finish in the top 4 and then they'll have to face off against the Clippers, and they can possibly knock out the Clippers in an upset.
Yeah, I like to add in that the Suns, they're 5-1 right now, which is it's only the beginning of the year and things are weird right now. But if you take this in, Ayton has been underperforming and he's supposed to have a breakout year. And once he starts get going, the Suns could be a very dangerous team. And once they get to the playoffs, people might think, oh, they don't have playoff experience and all that. But Chris Paul does, and we've seen, just Dan said, we've seen what he's done with the young OKC team. The OKC team took 7 games and almost won against the Houston Rockets. So when the Suns have Booker and Ayton playing, and I think Dan's mentioned Bridges is up there for defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
So their team is a really good team this year.
And they could always add at the trade deadline.
Yeah. I feel the young guys will be excited and possibly upset the Clippers. Our 6th bold prediction we're going to be talking about is the Cleveland Cavaliers making the playoffs. I know it's a shocker for most because most people thought they're rebuilding. I did too, but once I saw that Garland switched his role, because a big part of the problem they had last year was, 1, obviously they don't have Drummond for the whole year. 2, Sexton was a scorer, but he didn't score as much as he is at this rate, and Garland was probably the missing piece last year. Garland coming through the draft was supposed to be a shoot first point guard, so with Sexton there, he couldn't be that guy. Once, I guess through the summer, the coach told him to switch his role to kind of a pass first point guard. Now he's actually made the team much better with his passing. Also, he's able to score as well, so he's kind of an all-around player, while Sexton takes most of the shots and gets the scoring done with he's averaging 26 points per game. And Drummond is on a mission to get the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I think they were both shooting guards, and now they're kind of formulating a solid backcourt, not just shooting at will, trying to get each other's 20 points. It's more Sexton's being the scorer, Garland's being the facilitator, and Drummond has deeply improved his game. He said he wanted to win defensive player of the year, and everyone kind of laughed at him, but he's getting up there for blocks and steals, and although he might not be an Anthony Davis, he's definitely improved his defensive game, and it could help in the long run for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And people forget that last year Kevin Love was hurt almost the whole year. I know Kevin Love might be washed from his Minnesota days, but he's still a really good piece add to the team when he's not injured. So he can add some veteran leadership, and he can also score at will.
Our last and final prediction is that Pascal Siakam gets traded. Yes, he's playing horrible right now, but just last year he was an all second team player, and he definitely has value around the league. I don't know if it'll happen right now because he's playing really bad. Chris Boucher is outshining him. We've talked about this in our Why the Raptors Are Struggling video if you want to check that out. But yeah, Siakam, he's getting paid max dollars now. He hasn't been playing good for a year now, since the second half of last year. And the Boston Celtics and teams have seemed to figure him out. And we're not saying he can't get it back, but he definitely is not a number 1 option. And if the Raptors want to go anywhere and use their cap space wisely, it might be the right move to trade Pascal Siakam and move on.
Yeah, and he's not a young prospect coming up. He's not a 22-year-old who's struggling. He's 26. And struggling at this rate, it's not helping the team, and his value is going to get lower and lower, and he's going to get older and throughout the years. So Like, the team last year was probably the best team they had without Kawhi Leonard. Now this year they're struggling like a lot, and Siakam's not helping at all. So Siakam not improving from last year even and actually getting worse is just not helping the team. Like, I'm not saying blow it up, but just like maybe just shake it up, and he needs a new home because I don't know, maybe just the system he's playing in is not working for him.
Yeah, I think like people need to stop saying that Pascal Siakam's like, oh, Beyblade, he's like worse than Julius Randle, like trade him for like a bag of chips. Like, this man still has value. He's like really young, and they don't want to wait obviously until it becomes like an albatross contract, like an Al Horford or something like that. I don't believe it'll get that bad. I feel like Siakam will figure this out more. It's just he's just not living up to the pressure of being a number one option. He honestly needs a change of scenery at this point. And that's why I feel like the Toronto Raptors will move Siakam at this deadline. So that'll do it for the video. Let us know what you think will happen out of our bold predictions we said. Give us your own bold predictions. It's early into the season. Anything can happen. And these probably won't be right, but you never know.
Also, if you have any ideas of what you want us to talk about, we're open ears, and we can like see in the comments what you guys want, and we'll take note of like the bold predictions you guys make and just like have discussions.
See you guys next time.